Today I want to talk about why you want to have one last conversation, the conversation that will fix everything and why it will not help you in the way you think. We're talking about this today because I get so many messages and comments on videos about this exact thing. The idea that you can't move on until you've had one last heart to heart with the person who's rejecting you, or with someone who simply isn't engaging in the relationship the way you want them to engage in it. But the truth is that that conversation you're hoping for, it almost never does what you want it to do. If anything, it usually makes things worse. The fantasy of it is that this one conversation will fix your pain somehow. But in reality, there is no way that conversation can do that. And I want to talk to you about why that is and why you should stop waiting for it. Hi, I'm Madalena, and this is You Reclaimed. Around here, we spend a lot of time talking about how we reclaim our lives back from the grips of childhood trauma, from emotional dysregulation, and from anxiety. And we do this ongoing exercise because we want to live our lives on our own terms. I hope you stick around. Before we get into it, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you're finding this content helpful, please give it a like. It really helps the channel grow. So why do we get this idea that one last final conversation of closure will somehow resolve a connection? Even if it was never really a full relationship to begin with, even if it was just you wanting a relationship with someone who wasn't that into it in the first place, who maybe wasn't interested at all. Usually it comes down to two hidden motives. I call them hidden because we tend to hide them even from ourselves. Reason one, you want an in of some sort, which means that you're secretly hoping that the person will give you a reason that you can sort of argue against. Like they'll say, I only date botanists. And then you'll jump in and say, guess what? I absolutely love plants. I'll fill our house with plants and we'll be in love forever. Or you're hoping they'll tell you that they can't open their heart because they've been hurt before. And you imagine saying, that's fine. I'll be so gentle. I'll be patient. I'll heal you. What you're really looking for is some sort of loophole, a way to get them to change their mind so that they'll choose you, so that they'll give you the relationship or the connection that they weren't willing to give you in the first place. Reason two, we get stuck in this way is that we want redemption. We want the other person to say something that sort of wipes away that terrible feeling of just not being enough. Because when someone ends a connection, and let's say it wasn't our choice, then it can leave us feeling worthless, like we're less than, or like we're not the kind of person that someone would want to be with. And this kind of rejection, it slams directly into old wounds that so many of us carry around. It dredges up childhood baggage about not getting enough, about not being seen, about being seen as less than. So we're hoping that this one conversation will produce words that will somehow rescue our self-worth, that we'll finally be able to be told that we are enough, that we're not the problem. But here's the thing, both of those motives, both getting an in and getting redemption, are two things that are both directed outward. They depend on the other person giving us what we want. And that's why this final conversation rarely does the job. It's asking someone else to repair a hole that only we can work on repairing ourselves. And that's hard to accept. The difficult thing to understand is that neither of these hidden motives ever get satisfied in a final conversation. If someone doesn't want to be with us, there is very little that we can actually do to change that. We don't get to decide who loves us and who doesn't, no matter how much we wish it worked that way. And part of moving on is accepting that, well, not everyone will like us. And even harder to accept, some people will reject us outright. Oddly enough, The easy rejection, when someone says, I don't like you, I don't want you, I can't stand your personality, that can be a lot less painful than softer kinds of rejections that say, I like you, but not really enough to do everything with you, to make a life with you. That's the one that cuts really deep, because we think if you like me, well, then of course you would want everything with me. You should want to build a whole future with me. But these kinds of thoughts are not realistic. Between I like you or even I love you and I want to spend my life with you, there is a huge distance that needs to be traversed. And we often pretend that that distance doesn't exist, but it does. We hate talking about this reality of human connection because it taps into all of our romanticized ideas about love. Love and having a relationship are not at all the same thing. And we hate to look at this fact head on because it is part of all of those beautiful romanticized notions about love that say love can fix anything. Can't it? I mean, even relational incompatibility. And that's just not the case. So part of this is our ability as adults to step back with a bit of detachment, to recognize that if someone doesn't want to make a life with us, it doesn't actually mean that we're worthless. It can mean a variety of other things, none of them having to do with us. It doesn't mean that we're insufficient or that we're failures or that we're not good enough. It simply means that this person has made a decision that is painful, but it's a perfectly acceptable choice for themselves. And part of, relating to other adults is respecting those choices without turning them into proof of our own inadequacy. The other part of it is that if someone doesn't choose us, there's actually nothing they can say that will make their rejection somehow feel good. You can't sit across from each other on a sunny day, calm and peaceful, and hear, you're wonderful, but I still don't want you. No matter how kind the words are, rejection stings. That's why I say closure is a one-person job. If you want to go deeper into this, into how to cut off contact when you're having trouble doing so, I have another video called No Contact Isn't Enough Until You Do This. Go ahead and watch that video. It really explains why just cutting someone off is not the whole story, and it's not the answer to how to move forward. You don't need the other person to give you permission to close the final chapter on a relationship. You don't need a discussion or an agreement of some sort. You can decide to close it yourself. And yes, that's hard to accept because it also means that the other person can close the chapter without our permission. But if we really want to move forward, we have to understand that it's possible and even necessary to sever that connection in our own mind, primarily in our own mind. That's where real no contact works. Even if you did have one last conversation, you'd still be left with the responsibility of closure resting on you. Otherwise, you'll just keep ruminating, I should have said this, I could have explained this better, if only I'd had one more chance to say what I really feel. And that cycle can go on forever. It never ends. Love and relationships are completely different things. And we don't like to talk about that much, again, because it smashes itself directly against ideas that most of us have about love being all powerful, like a balm that we can sort of spread over any connection, no matter how toxic, and somehow heal that connection with the power of love. And this whole idea of a last conversation or of that final bit of closure, it shows up in limerence all the time. In most cases of limerence, your brain tries to convince you that your pain will not end without more explanation from the other person. So you want them to tell you, why? Why can't you give me enough? Why am I not enough? Even, why can't you be what I want you to be? Why can't you relate to me in a way that makes me happy and satisfied in this connection? So we chase those answers, hoping that in the explanation we'll find the loophole, that one thing that if we could just address it would solve the problem and finally make us able to be together. But none of that comes out of what we call closure. What closure actually does when it's framed in this way is work to keep the fantasy alive. Because instead of letting you heal and move on fully, it keeps you circling around the same person and the same story. That's why so many people end up being limerent for 10, 15, even 20 years, ruminating about what they would say if they ever had the chance, and replaying conversations that never happened, waiting for a moment that never comes. If this is you, if you recognize yourself here and you're stuck in the obsessive cycle of limerence, watch my video, What Breaks the Limerence Spell. It will show you how to start loosening the grip of your own obsessive thoughts so that you can move forward in your own life. What I want you to take from this conversation here is that moving on is not a two-person job. Moving on is a decision that you make for yourself, no matter what the other person says or doesn't say. Otherwise, you can be at the mercy of this one last conversation forever. It's actually healthier for you to make that decision on your own, because when you do, you can move on more quickly and more cleanly, knowing that you are in control of your own decisions. Real closure doesn't come from this one final conversation. It comes from evidence that you probably already have, from the way the relationship went in the first place, from this person's actions, from the choices they made, whether that was breaking things off, whether it was simply not showing up with reciprocity and participation the way you wanted them to. This is what signifies real closure in the end. And it's actually your decision to stop negotiating with that rejection and with that evidence, and to stop bargaining with the failure of a connection that never became what you wanted it to become. So if you are stuck here waiting for one more heart to heart, take pause and really ask yourself, am I really hoping to change this person's mind? Am I hoping they'll somehow fix the way I feel about myself? Because the truth is that neither of those things can happen in that one last conversation. Closure is not something that this other person can give you. It's something that you can choose right here on your own. Even if the other person doesn't want to communicate, even if the other person doesn't participate, you can do closure all on your own, and I hope you do. Take care. Until next time.